process of buying a house. I think I kind of covered it, but just be more specific. Um, the first step is knowing what your budget is through a pre-approval, a pre-qualification, but just figuring out what the budget is, right? Because a 200, there's no 200K houses here, but a 300K house in Forney might be a 500K house in Frisco. So it's not just about how big or how small your house is, it's about location, but it's also about budget, right? So if somebody really wants a 300K house, I would say, okay, that might impact the location you're going to live in. Well, here are the locations in the DFW Metroplex that we can get this particular house that you want, right? And if somebody wants a 300K house in an expensive side of town, like, okay, yes, you can. It might not be new. It might be a very old house. You may have to fix, but this is where you get this house close to Frisco. So that's why budget is very important. And if there's flexibility, we could just say, you know what, you want to live in Frisco, you have room to get to 500K, 600K. Just so that we're not wasting time and energy, checking places that we have no business checking. Um, find a realtor. Usually, I always advise people to first talk to the realtor. I have different lenders, and I think different lenders are great with different kind of products. And also there's different kind of personality fit. So if you talk to me, I'll let you know, okay, based on what you told me, here's a lender to talk to. Um, and we can take it from there. Then when we know what your pre-approval is, we start the house hunting process, right? Well, I'm gonna have a conversation with you to figure out, okay, what are your needs? Why are you getting this house? Is it a dream house? Is it more like a short-term house? Do you want to be in an area that you can rent in the future? Where's your family at? Where's your job at? Is your job potentially remote? So there's all these questions that really impacts where you should get your house. Then based on that, we'll start looking for the house. I also help people that are out of state. Then I do virtual tours for them. Then you make an offer, right? We find the house, you make an offer. Um, I always tell my clients, like, if you feel strongly, we can always make an offer. I have no shame in asking. The worst that can happen is to get a no, right? But from experience, I know the builders that are flexible with pricing. And I also show my clients the comps. I say, okay, there's really not a lot of secret in real estate. There's nothing that you're doing that is new under the sun. We can check the price of a similar house that was sold last week. How much did they sell it for? And I can send it to you, right? I'm not saying they can't sell less than that, but at least you know where they are, and we can kind of go lower than that and go from there, right? But sometimes they listen their house lower than what they sold similar houses for. And you have to understand people care about comps, right? If you're living in a neighborhood and you bought your house for 500K from a builder, and let's say a month later you hear that someone bought the same house for 40K, right? It really means that the value of your house has dropped. So there's a range when it comes to pricing, as to what many builders can do, but they're usually more flexible with your closing costs because now you're not messing up the numbers of the comps in the area. Well, market is the ultimate driver, right? If there's low demand, prices are going to come down. If there's high demand, you can put an offer you want. Just not going to go down less than a particular amount because there's demand. Like they won't sell if they know they could sell something and make 20K, why would they sell it to make 2K? So market is the ultimate driver of this process, but I always negotiate for my clients and we usually have good success. Then after that, they accept the offer. Then a contract is issued. Then we start talking about home inspection if the house is already built. If the house is not built, we tell them to explain their process in terms of from foundation to finishing of the house, what to expect. Then my clients go into the design phase to design the house. Sometimes I go with them, sometimes I don't go with them. I mean, the design thing is a very personal thing, right? So it just depends on what the client wants, and I will go from there. But typically, many clients tend to do inventory houses because the builders are giving special incentives for that, right? Because if a house is built, the builder is paying property taxes, insurance, and many times they also pay construction loans on it. So they tend to have deeper discounts on houses that are closing in 60 days or less, because they don't want to be paying construction loans and taking care of the lawn, paying HOA for it. But if the house is not built, they tend to, go for market price. But for my luxurious buyers that are trying to really design their house, they don't really care. They just want something that they want, and they don't mind paying 20, 30K more because that's like a dream house for them. So There's no right or wrong answer. You just need to know where you are in the process and do what works best for you. So you schedule your home inspection, like I said. Then after that, your lender starts ordering an appraisal to confirm that your lender wants to know that if I'm borrowing you 500K house for a 500K, if I'm borrowing you 500K loan for a 500K house, is that house actually worth that price, right? Because if they do the appraisal and it's worth 450, they're only going to borrow you 450, and you have to come up with that difference because they're not willing to take that risk with you. And that happened a lot during COVID, where there was shortage of houses and people were putting 100K more, 200K more on a house. The lender is not going to borrow you that money. They're just going to say, this house is worth